Good evening, fellow travelers, and welcome to this exciting grand opening of the 2026 Travel Festival here at Rick Steves Europe. My name is Ben Green, and I will moderate tonight's mouth-watering adventure. Now, please join me in welcoming our Festival Grandmaster and our European food tour guide, Rick Steves. Hi, Rick. Happy festival.
Thanks so much, Ben, for the introduction, and thank you all for tuning in. We are going to be eating our way through Europe tonight as we kick off our week-long travel festival. And as Ben mentioned, every night for the rest of this week, we'll have some great travel information right here at this hour. And I get the joy of kicking it off with something we all love to travel for, and that is food. And I'll tell you, I'm a beautiful living example of somebody who started my travels in Europe sort of just as a vagabond, just looking for some bread and cheese. And over the years, I've been inspired to really appreciate the cuisine of Europe. And tonight, I'm really thrilled to take you on a little adventure all across Europe. And we're going to have a lot of chances to dig in and get some tips, some practical tips about how to eat well in Europe without going broke. Hey, I do want to address something that I've just been wondering, how should I address? But this is a time of great anxiety in our country for people who care about freedom and who love what America is known for around the world as, to be honest, it's being threatened right now. And our democracy is fragile. And we've got people demonstrating in the streets. And right here, we're gathering together to celebrate our upcoming travels. Well, I want to just have fun tonight, and I want to focus on travel, and I want to focus on Europe. But I do want to just remind you that our country is at a very awkward and difficult and scary and dangerous place. And if ever the concept of solidarity applied to the United States of America, to apply to the citizens of this great nation, it is now. Solidarity is a big deal on how downtrodden people south of the border have survived. It's how the people of Eastern Europe won their freedom from the Soviet Union. It was solidarity. And sadly, solidarity is something we have to employ now at home. So that's just a little note I would like to start on, and then wish you all well as we kick off 2026. And right now, we're going to just have a smattering of good food tips from one end of Europe to the other. What I've done is I've cobbled together a bunch of fun little videos that I thought are very practical and very insightful. And the first video I want to show you is about 10 minutes from a 1 hour lecture I produced down at KQED in San Francisco. And it's an hour that is very focused on the philosophy of travel. And a good part of that is the philosophy of how do we eat well in Europe. So check out this video. And then remember, we've got Divya and Stephen answering questions in the chat section. And Ben will be fielding those questions and we'll be answering your questions later on. And I'll be with you from beginning to end here as we head out to explore the edible wonders of Europe. A big part of your travels is eating. I just love eating in Europe. I didn't always love eating well, but I've evolved and appreciated good food on the road. And I know one of my favorite things to do when I'm researching is run around town with a food guide in the evening to check out all my hotels and all my restaurants. I spend about 100 days in Europe. Probably a third of that time I'm working on our tour bus program. A third of that time I'm making TV shows. And a third of that time I'm researching our guidebooks. Every day with my guidebook work, I've got on my schedule, it says G10 and G6. A guide at 10 o'clock for the daytime activities and a guide at 6 o'clock for the evening activities. And that evening guide is a food guide, going to all the restaurants. And I've learned a lot. One thing, which is kind of common sense, if you're a smart eater, you don't go to the most crowded, touristic, high-rent square and look for a restaurant that says in big English letters, no frozen food, with a pre-printed menu in 3 languages that has lots of courses and stays the same all year long. Everything's wrong about that. And if you go in there, it's just going to be a crowd of tourists because no local would ever eat there. And that's bad also. I like to go 3 blocks away, find a little no-name place on a low-rent location, thriving with an enthusiastic local clientele. And I look for a small, handwritten, 1 language menu. Okay, if it's a low-rent place, filled with locals enjoying a great time, and it's serving what you're looking for, and it has that simple, handwritten, one-language menu. It's great. It's going to be a good meal. It's a small menu because they are interested in serving food profitably but at a good price. It is handwritten because it's shaped by what's fresh in the market this week. And it's one language because they're targeting locals rather than tourists. I love it. Okay, you go that way. And then also, you remember in Europe, it's really important to focus on good ingredients. Europeans love top quality ingredients. And as a budget traveler, for years, I would not be aware of that. If I'm going to Spain and I want a plate of ham, I'll pay $5 for jamón serrano. It's just the mediocre ham. Whereas if you pay $12, you get a plate of jamón ibérico. Now that's a huge difference. Life is too short to eat mediocre ham when you're in Spain. I mean, serrano, ibérico. Excuse me, I just want a quiet moment with my ham. That is one of the best deals going, and it's not cheap. You know, spring for quality ingredients. Foie gras, escargot, jamón, cheese, everything when you're out in the market. The Europeans know good quality and they're willing to pay for it. I think that's very important. Eat with the season. Zucchini flowers, I didn't even know what that was until I was in Italy during zucchini flower time, and it's everywhere. I remember thinking the daily menu, the daily special, was the push list, that they were just trying to move a lot of old produce, you know? No, that's what's seasonal. That's what the chef is excited about you trying. Go for the seasonal menu. Go for the seasonal menu. I love the idea that a smart eater can go to a good restaurant and look at the menu and know what month it is and where they are. You see, that's really cool, because Europeans are into this idea of a 0-kilometer meal. It's just the enthusiasm for eating with the season and eating local. A big deal in my guidebook research for restaurants is finding splurge-worthy restaurants. And I don't like to list a Michelin star restaurant. I mean, it's great, but it costs $100, you got to dress up, and you got to book it weeks in advance, and it's pretentious. But I like a Michelin-rated restaurant, a more casual gourmet restaurant. There's even a word for it in some countries, bib gourmand. And when I'm doing my research, I'll ask my staff to list me all the Michelin-rated restaurants, not the Michelin star restaurants in the city, and then I'll look at it when I'm there, and depending on what neighborhoods I'm interested in adding restaurants to, I'll visit the Michelin-rated restaurants, and invariably I'll find a couple that are great for my listing. This is a restaurant I went to in Toledo in Spain this spring, and it was a wonderful restaurant. Beautifully presented food, wonderful clientele. I love to eat with a sharp, smart local clientele instead of a noisy bunch of tourists, you know, when I'm having a nice romantic dinner in Europe. Also, remember, if you're on a budget, you're inclined to go to a mediocre restaurant because the prices are better, and then you order recklessly. I would rather spend the same money going to a nice restaurant and order sparingly. And a lot of tourists, they don't think you can do that, but there's nothing wrong with two people ordering 2 appetizers and splitting 1 entree and splitting a dessert and having a glass of wine each. That's going to cost you no more than ordering the full thing at a mediocre restaurant, and it's going to be an experience. They're glad you're there, and you're never going to forget that meal. I mean, have a dessert, but ask for 3 spoons, you know? Ask the waiter for little plates. When I'm traveling with friends and my travel partner, we always ask for a small plate. We have a deal where we never order the same entree and we always try the different things. Why not? There's nothing wrong with that. There's this notion that there is, and it's flat out wrong. I like family-style eating. Share it, have the maximum experience. And I also like really enjoying that tapas kind of culture. In Spain, you got tapas. In Greece, you got meze. In Venice, you got the cicchetti. These are all little tiny sharing plates. And it's just a food festival every night. For lunch, it's usually not a big deal for me. I usually just go for a salad or a sandwich or something like that. And salad niçoise is just great. The tasty fruits and vegetables when you eat seasonally in Europe are just amazing. I never knew what a tomato really tasted like until I went to Europe. Americans don't realize, most of us anyways, what we're missing until we go to Europe and we see what tasty fruit eaten seasonally and eaten locally is. It's so important in our travels. Now, having said all of that about restaurants, I think a lot of times you just want a picnic. Nothing wrong with that. You can go to a supermarket and you can eat in the park or you can eat in your hotel room for $6 or $8. I mean, it's expensive to go to a restaurant every night. I was just in Scandinavia and I found myself not going out to restaurants every night. Here's a supermarket in Scandinavia. By the way, if you look at these numbers here, this is an example of being a traveler who's a little bit on the ball. Can you imagine what those numbers are for? The hours, that's right. For me, I would say, well, I've never seen that before, but it must mean something. So I look at that and I think, what could that be? It's a co-op, it's a supermarket, and it is open on work days from 5 until 1 in the morning, and it's open on Saturdays from 7 until midnight, and it's closed on Sundays. You see, you can figure that out. I mean, a lot of people sort of insist on being confused when they're in a foreign country. I mean, there's no nice way to say it. They just shut down. I'm not smarter than you. I just look at that and I say, there's got to be a reason for that, you see? And you can do that. You have to have that attitude in your travels, and it'll serve you very well. The markets in Europe are wonderful. I just love the markets. And one thing great about the markets is they're becoming food courts as well. A lot of these classic old Victorian, late 19th century, industrial age market halls cannot make it as vegetable and fruit merchants selling their goods. It's just people don't shop that way anymore. So there's a little bit of that, but they are viable now because they are hosting great little restaurants, oftentimes a branch of a very respected local restaurant in the town. No chains. I mean, in the United States, it's free market, so the chains can rule. But in Europe, they protect their local economy by keeping the chains out of there. Another trend is food tours. 20 years ago, there were no food tours. Now they're everywhere. I was just in Morocco a couple weeks ago. Last night, we spent on a food tour. The second food tour we took on that 10-day experience. I love food tours. A food tour is kind of expensive, $80 or $100. It takes 4 hours. You get together with 8 other tourists and a local food expert, a food guide, and you visit 7 or 8 or 9 little gourmet artisan food shops. And it's a meal. It's a mobile meal. You learn a lot with your guide. You make friends with the tourists. You've had a $50 meal out of a $100 tour, and you've learned a lot about that culture. If you're interested in that, it's a great option, and you can find a food tour anywhere. Now, somebody might ask, well, how do you know where a food tour is? You Google it. For one thing, guidebooks have it. Of course, if I enjoy a food tour, it'll be in my guidebook. Well, anybody who's in business in Europe in a tourism kind of way has to play the game to get in with a crowdsourcing site, right? You're invisible if you're not listed on these kind of sites. When I'm doing my work, I'll be honest, I check out these sites to see what's available. And if it looks like something that's interesting, I'll go check it out and see if it's worth putting in my book. Schnapps tasting, food tour, Sound of Music tour, all sorts of stuff. But you've got all those options there, and you can check that out. And you'll certainly find the food tours. This was a tour I took in Nice. Wonderful local food guide, made friends with the tourists. We had a great morning visiting all these places. It was just a great idea. Okay, so that's just a sort of a way to kick off our time together today with the focus on eating well and drinking well in Europe. And, oh yeah, this is a wine from Puglia, Puglia. And that's a region of Italy that is underappreciated. And that's a wine that is supposed to be like an Amarone, but from Puglia. And yeah, it's nice. It's fun to build a little bit of a understanding and what are your favorites? What are you curious about? What's on your list to check out next, and so on. I mentioned food tours in that last bit. We're going to go to 2 food tours a little later. We're going to go to a food tour in Portugal, and we're going to go to a food tour we've never shown before in London, in the East End of London. So stay tuned for that. I do want to remind you that clip that you just saw there, it was just a lecture on a stage, but my amazing TV crew back home took that lecture and cut in all sorts of beautiful video clips that we've had from our archives over the shows. And they turned that lecture into something that's very, very watchable and really vivid. And if you'd like to watch the whole show, you can watch any TV show I've ever made for free on my website. And if you're supporting public television, it's even better on the PBS app. And you can look for the 1-hour special we produced just this last year called Experiencing Europe. Another thought I had as we were watching that show was the importance of people. looking at the people that were featured in all those restaurants, I knew their names. Their neighbors know their names. That's their niche in life. Their father may have ran that, and their mother may have ran that same restaurant. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful thing about that food culture in Europe. And most of my very favorite restaurants in Europe that I've recommended for literally decades are what I call personality driven. All right, I like to now go to some slides just to bolster what we just learned a little bit and talk about some more. Here we are in a vineyard on the slopes of Mount Etna in Sicily, the south of Spain. And as we're driving, this is on one of our tours, our Sicily tour, one of our guides discovered this beautiful place. And let me just get my clicker up here properly. And we know the family now. And we stop by there, and the family takes us on a walk through the vineyards. And when they're done with that, they take us into their home. And here we have this giant, ancient wine press. And we feel the power of the heritage and the love of the family for their tradition and the fruit of the vine. And we get to be in their midst. We sit down, and the children of the patriarch greets the group and makes sure that we have food that is from that community, that is with the season and well matched with that wine. And to see the pride and to taste the pride is a beautiful thing. And if you do your studies, you don't need to take a tour to experience this, but you just need to be on the ball. There are plenty of opportunities to connect with people who love their cuisine and take great joy in sharing it. Great joy in sharing the cuisine. For example, there's a festival in northern Italy every summer where the older kids teach the younger kids how to make a good ravioli. And it's just a scheme that the grandparents have put together, I think, to make sure these traditions survive. Just like when my grandma was getting really old, she made sure that me, her oldest grandson, had a krumkaka iron so that I would be able to make that beloved Norwegian cookie, the krumkaka. When you're in a little valley in Burgundy in France, the Chamber of Commerce pools their meager resources and produces these beautiful orbs. And you come in there as a visitor and you get to appreciate the fine bouquet of each of the wines that are grown in that valley. I'll never forget the pride they had in sharing that with their visitors. Now, when you're traveling, you need to know where the local places are. It's just so fun to eat and drink with the locals. A great trick my friends in Spain have taught me, if you go to a bar where you've got lots of garbage on the floor, that's full of locals, because the tradition in a bar, in a tapas bar in Spain, is to, clean off your fingers after you're eating that shrimp or the calamari or whatever, and then toss it on the floor. If the bullfight's on the TV and if the garbage is on the floor, if it's filled with locals, you're ready for some good tapas. Get out of your comfort zone. Be adventurous. If you're getting tired of beer in England, a lot of people go for the cider. And the serious cider is scrumpy. Try scrumpy. Talk about scrumpy. Learn about scrumpy. This is the hard apple cider. And if you really want to get a dose of cider, go to a farm, an orchard, where you got a character like Roy Wilkins, who would love to pour you right out of the keg some of his famous and beloved scrumpy. If you've always been curious about great chocolate, boy, when you cross into Belgium, that's your time to become a chocoholic. And what you want to do is you want to find in the village the beloved chocolateria, the place where the one family for generations has brought that chocolate to that village. This is Madame Dumont, and she is a delight in Bruges. And when you come in there as a tourist, she wants to show off. And what I like to be is a bumpkin, unapologetically. Hey, I don't know what good chocolate is. Show me your best stuff. Taste this, nibble on that, learn this, learn that. Piece together a box of your favorites, and you're on your way. For the rest of your life, you'll know what good chocolate's all about. I like cultures that lend themselves to shared eating, small plates, try a bunch of different things, local traditions. This is Basque country. And this is in particular the Spanish part of Basque country rather than the French part. And they are famous for their gourmet tapas. And it's one of the most wonderful food adventures I've had in Europe is going to San Sebastian and just pigging out on the greatest tapas anywhere in Iberia. Here's my friend Federico. We're in that same bar where there's dirt, where there's crumpled up Kleenex and napkins at our feet. And Federico is introducing me to Pedro de Pepperone or something like that. Pedro de Pepperone. It is Russian roulette for your taste buds. I love these peppers, and it's exciting because they're all very tasty, and one of them is killer hot, and you don't know which one it is. And when you get that plate, locals actually kind of keep an eye on you to see when you have that explosion of spiciness. A lot of the bars in Spain have tapas, and a lot of them have a tradition where they all cost the same, and you just leave the toothpick on your plate, and when you're done eating, they count up the toothpicks, and you pay up. I just love to eat the local style. Again, get out of your comfort zone. This ugly little thing is the most delicious, delicious creature of the sea that I've had while in Europe. It's barnacles, percebes. You'll find them in Spain and you'll find them in Portugal. Locals eat them like beer nuts with their beer. Now, this is a good example, by the way, of eating something that's a little more expensive. This is top of the menu. It's actually quite expensive because it's dangerous to harvest these things in the surf, but it's worth it. It is well worth it, and it's part of your cultural experience. You need to spend for some, and I'm coming at you as somebody who loved dorm food. I'm just the classic backpacker who likes a picnic. But I've learned you want to eat high on the menu once in a while just to have those experiences. Again, enjoy those cultures where you can eat family style, like in Greece, you have the meze. And don't be shy to share. I've never recommended a restaurant in any of my guidebooks, I believe, where the chef and the waitstaff wouldn't be proud to have you ask for little plates so you and your travel partners can all share each other's food. You're there to broaden your experience. I want to stress again, eating with the seasons. You might want to try the truffles, but if they're out of season, don't bother. If truffles are in season, that's when they're worth paying for. It's very, very important to eat locally and eat with the season. If you see white asparagus everywhere, hey, it's a season for asparagus. When locals go shopping all over Europe, when they go shopping, they look on the price tag for more than the price. They look for where it comes from. Here you can see Verona, Livorno, Veneto, Malta, Cavallino. You've got so much tradition there, and you want to eat locally and go with the flow. One great kind of restaurant for me all over Europe is a wine bar. In Italy, it's called an enoteca. And I like that because they will serve a very expensive wine by the glass. It's hard to get an expensive wine by the glass because if they open a $150 bottle of wine, it might get stale. If they don't sell it right away, and they might not sell it right away. But in a wine bar, they're willing to open a fine bottle of wine because they're assured to finish it off. And then for $20, you can sample a great glass of wine. And the cool thing about an enoteca is they serve small plates that are paired with the wine. And to get a local sommelier or a local wine connoisseur to sort of guide you through a meal like that, in an enoteca instead of a fancy restaurant, you're going to get one of the great food experiences that you can get in Europe. You can go to a lot of wine bars and they'll have a charcuterie board, and that goes very nice with the wine. And it becomes a meal in itself if you like. So consider that as an alternative to a standard restaurant meal. If you're on a tight budget, remember you'll have a lot of delis. And these delis are where the locals go for lunch. I make a point to eat where the local office workers go for lunch. I don't want a fast food American chain restaurant, that is for sure. You'll find a place that's celebrating local cuisine. A lot of countries don't have the most exciting cuisine, but they've got immigrants. And those immigrants don't want to put up with boring cuisine. So they bring in their own country's food. And you'll find that's some of the great opportunities for fun eating on a budget in Europe. Don't shy away from the immigrant restaurants. And Europeans just like to picnic. It's such a European thing to do. And if you're just traveling in big cities, going from city to city and staying in nice hotels, you don't encounter that much. But Europeans are very at ease picnicking, and we can be too in our travels. A great thing about picnicking is it's healthy, it's with the season, it changes with each region, it lets you experience the markets, it forces you to deal with the people in the markets, and it creates great memories. I think one thing key about a picnic is making a point to put some energy into choosing the right spot to enjoy your picnic. I just love paying too much for a loaf of bread to buy it from the person who baked it. And that's sort of an ethic in Europe. People knowingly pay more than what they pay in the big box grocery store, the supermarket, but they know the intangible value of having that picnic on the main square every morning. That's part of the weave of that culture. It's how neighborhoods stay together. They stay connected. Now, the marketplaces in Europe have a great appeal to me, but they've gone through a crisis in the last generation. And I believe this is the big market in Budapest. There was a time when they were thriving because there were no supermarkets. Lately, they are surviving, but they're having to scramble to do so. And these grand, venerable old markets are also becoming food courts. Not food courts with a bunch of chain restaurants like we're used to in a mall in the United States, but food courts where you've got great, well-established restaurants that open up a little branch to, raise awareness of what they're doing in the local market. Here's the Mercato Centrale, I believe, in Florence. And downstairs, it's all the merchants with their stalls and their fruits and vegetables and meats and cheeses and bread. Upstairs, you've got just a circus of very fun, very affordable food courts. A great thing about this is you and your travel partners can choose what you like and rendezvous at a table in the middle and have a selection of many different restaurants. This is the famous Time Out Market in Lisbon. For a long time, it was the grand market of the city. And today it's thriving, but it's thriving because of its little restaurants, not because of its market stalls. You still have the market stalls, but it's dominated by the restaurants. A sad thing about markets in Europe, to be honest, is they have been overrun by tourists, and now they make their money selling slushies and exotic fruits on skewers and potpourri and little gifty edibles. It's okay for the tourist, but where are the locals? They've been driven out. And for example, in Barcelona, everybody wants to go on the Ramblas to the Boqueria market. No, I was just there. It's disappointing. It's heartbreaking. Rest in peace. That's what I put for the Ramblas, R.I.P. in my guidebook. Well, there's a market about a 10-minute walk away, 15-minute walk away, Santa Caterina Market. It is filled with locals. It's what the Boqueria used to be. All over Europe, you can find an alternative. In a moment, we're going to go on a food tour in London. I wanted to go to the Borough Market. That's the great venerable market in London, but it's been overrun by tourists now. It's so crowded, you can hardly get around. But in the East End, there's a wonderful market called Spitalfields, and we'll go there. The Time Out Market in Lisbon is quite touristy, but this is a market just in a neighborhood that has that same formula, a few stalls and a few little restaurants and some communal tables. It's a great, great option. I mentioned I like to eat where the local business people, 9 to 5 crowd, are having their lunch. I also, when I'm in a market, look, where are the lines? Don't avoid the lines. The lines are lines not full of tourists. They're full of local people who come here every day for their bratwurst, for their pretzels, for their who knows what, their sauerkraut. Find the lines and at least observe, see what's going on. And remember, if you're interested in the very best pastries that a country has to offer, you can eat them in your hotel's cafe, but they're not going to be fresh. If you want heavenly pastries, if you want a pastry to be as good as it possibly can be, you need to go to a place where there's fast turnover and where you're literally eating it warm out of the oven. And you can do that anywhere in Europe. That's the mark of a good pastry shop, a good patisserie, a good restaurant, a good bakery, is you are there to get those pastel de natas shown here in Lisbon, my favorite dessert in Lisbon, hot out of the oven, literally. Hey, I just want to remind you, tonight is the first night of our 2026 Travel Festival, and you can see our schedule right there. each evening, 6 o'clock Seattle time, we've got a free talk. And I'm so thankful so many of you are tuned in right now. And I want to remind you, this is the week to, take advantage of this hard work by my wonderful colleagues here who have put together these talks. Tomorrow night, Robin Stencil talks about managing crowds and backdoor discoveries. That's a very important topic. Wednesday, my most prolific co-author, Cameron Hewitt, he's amazing. He is going to get us updated on the tips, trends, and sort of the bureaucratic concerns and the tech concerns, the legal concerns of traveling in 2026. If you have any questions or anxieties about what's like in Europe right now, check out Cameron's talk. If you are curious about the political dimension of travel right now, Cameron will talk about that very, very astutely, about how are we received in Europe. What are the visa concerns in Europe? What are the safety issues in Europe, and so on. So don't miss that on Wednesday night. On Thursday, Lisa Friend, one of our most popular tour guides and a great friend of ours on Monday Night Travel. Lisa will be talking about how Europe varies with the season and what would the seasonal concerns be. And on Friday, we finish things off with Emily and Gabe, right here from our Monday Night Travel staff, talking about planning a smart itinerary. I hope you can enjoy those talks. And remember, if you can't see it live, all of our talks, the talk you're listening to right now, all of these, what we did last year, our tour festivals, there's so much. It's all archived and available for you at ricksteves.com. Tuesday, managing the crowds. Wednesday, Cameron Hewitt with State of European Travel, tips, trends, and updates. Thursday, European travel by the season. And Friday, itinerary planning. Hey, we've got one thing on sale, especially for tonight. It's available on sale for until the end of tomorrow, and that is Italy for Food Lovers. And Italy for Food Lovers, oh, I just love this book. And it's substantially discounted. It is $20. And if you would like to get that, you just got to go to our website and let us know. Another thing we've been doing lately, which I'm so excited about, well, we're selling a lot of tours. We took 35,000 Americans around Europe this year, and we'll take that many around Europe in the coming year in 2026. There's a lot of important questions that can be asked, and we've got some great guides that can help sort out your questions and any concerns you might have. And we offer a Monday Night Travel type get-together right here on this website. You sign up about the same way, and it's coming up. There's one on January 21st, and there's one on February 24th. You can register for those Q&A sessions, basically, about our tour program at ricksteves.com/tours. So that's what's happening, and I'm giving a couple of classes end of the month. And if you're local, I'm just booking out the Edmund Center for the Arts here, and I'll be doing my hippie trail on January 22nd. I'm giving my No Kings talk, and my partner Shelley is going to give a sermon about Christian nationalism and why that should be a concern of anybody. And there's two talks for that on January 30th. And then on January 31st, I'm giving my European travel skills talk. These talks end up on our website. So I want to remind you, there's literally 100 hours of talks available for free at ricksteves.com in the watch and listen section. All right. Hey, right now, I think we're going to go back to the video, and I'm going to take a sip of wine because I'm about to team up right now virtually with Fred Plotkin. I am so thankful for the experts that I get to pal around with. My buddy Steve Smith helped me appreciate France. And Fred Plotkin, he's the man for Italian food. Fred and I teamed up to write this book with lots of help from our staff. I'm so proud of this book. We'll talk about it in a minute. But right now, I would like just to remind you that we're going to sit down with a man who's dedicated his life to helping Americans appreciate opera and Italian cuisine. And Fred Plotkin, him and I did a Monday Night Travel a few years ago. It was February 7, 2023. You'll have a link to that sent to you in the email tomorrow so you can watch the whole hour with Fred. But right now, we're just going to have 10 minutes or so with Fred. And I'm going to show the slides that I always show and talk about. But I just blindsided Fred with this, and I let Fred illustrate my slideshow. And I got to say, he knew more about my slides than I did. So here comes my good buddy, Fred. And let's see. I'm going to do that, and we are on our way. That is the country that we've done the most material on, and the new member of this family of Rick Steves Italian books is a book called Italy for Food Lovers. And you can see right there on the cover, there's two authors. There's Rick Steves and there is Fred Plotkin. Boy, I was so thankful to meet Fred, and I just tell you, I'm Mr. Everyday traveler, and I needed somebody like Fred to join forces with me so we could have a more sophisticated and gourmet and smart and insightful tap on Italian food. And Fred is joining us right now from New York. Fred, thank you for being on our team tonight.
Thank you, Rick. It's a pleasure.
Hasn't it been fun to be in this project as we've worked together to make this book, to be thinking about our love of Italy and Italian culture and Italian food?
It's been mouthwatering is all I can say. I type on my computer and the saliva comes out as I dream of prosciutto and pasta and pizza and all that.
Always wear a bib when you're working on a book about
I
Italian
do.
food. And you should know, because you're an award-winning author of 6 Italian cookbooks, and the Italian government gave you a knighthood. What is the word for a knight in Italy?
Cavaliere.
You are a
Cavaliere.
cavaliere. So all honor to you for what you have contributed to Italian culture. They don't give that to just anybody. You're an Italophile with a very nice appreciation of high Italian culture. In fact, you wrote a book called Opera 101, which is basically the standard text in America for learning and loving opera, Opera 101.
Right.
And that's something I'd like to learn more about. But you and I got together a couple of years ago, and we just started enthusing about our love of Italy. And I've always thought of Italy, you learn about it by going to the museums and the galleries. And you taught me you learn about it also by going through the kitchen and the hearth, don't you?
You got to eat, and you may as well do it well. And that doesn't mean fancy. That means eating the way the Italians eat.
Oh, God.
You know, the old thing of when in Rome, do as the Romans do. When in Padua, do as the Padovani do. When in Matera, do as the Materesi do. Wherever you go in the whole country. And Rick, as you know very well.
When on the Amalfi Coast.
Limoncello or cafe.
That's right. All right. But I do like that, Fred, celebrating the regions, because Italy is a collection of proud regions, and we'll be talking about that in the next hour, won't we?
Yep.
All right. Hey, we've got. So I promised Ben I wouldn't break in because there's a picture and a picture and a picture, but you know me, I can't help but break in. Sorry, Ben, but I was listening to Fred. And Fred was the man who cooked for Lucio Pavarotti when he was performing in New York City. And Fred, he loves opera. He knows food. He knew exactly what Pavarotti wanted before and after his performances. And Fred is just such a guy that loves with food. And I'm so glad that we have this opportunity to spread his love around. And a lot of travelers have enjoyed that through this book. A lot going on. I do want to remind people that I'm just throwing these slides at Fred, and I'm going to learn about my own slides because, you know, I love to eat in Italy, and I know that Fred writes cookbooks and all that sort of thing. I'm trying to learn how to cook, and I'd rather just tag along.
Not so well, apparently. Good thing you know travel.
A good thing I know you, Fred. And yeah, actually, I love to go out to restaurants in Italy. And one of my favorite things to do is to research my guidebooks and update all of the restaurant listings. And you and I had the joy of collecting our 50 favorite restaurants, each of us, your favorites and mine, as a part of this book. And when we look at restaurants, Fred, because you need to be able to select them, what do you see here?
No frozen. If I see an awning in English in Italy that says pasta and pizza, no bread charge, no frozen food, fresh fish every day, it means they're not appealing to the Italian people that I would want to be joining to eat with. So steer clear of something that looks like this.
Right. And also, what I don't like about this, Fred, is a pre-printed menu. It's the same menu all year long in 5 languages. You know, the alternative to that would be this. When you look at this, Fred, what do you see?
I see Naples. I see daily freshness because I'm looking at all the dishes, and almost every single one of them is Neapolitan. So that would tell me there's a somewhere-ness about the food. There's one bolognese dish, but apart from that, this has to be Naples. Am I right?
You are right. This is
Okay.
going to be fun because as I said, I'm going to learn about, these are slides I always show, but I don't even speak Italian. So, but one thing I really liked is this idea, Fred, that a smart diner can go to a good restaurant and look at the menu and know not only where he is, but what season it is by what's being served.
And I want to mention one thing on this menu. On the upper right, it says salsiccia and friarelli. And in our book, we have a huge glossary of terms that you would just never see elsewhere. Friarelli, excuse me, is sort of a bitter green that you only find in certain seasons in Naples. So that too told me this has to be Naples. They're wonderful, but you would never see them elsewhere because it's a Neapolitan food.
And if it's a good restaurant, and this would, to me, this would be a good restaurant because it's a low rent location with a boisterous local crowd and a target for the locals. Don't just order what you recognize. Have a spirit of adventure. Here's another menu. And what do we see when you look at
Rome and Jewish, because I can tell you, for example, the polenta e salsiccia, the sausage is made of veal and beef. Were it typical, it would be pork, and Jews wouldn't eat that. And Rome has,
There you
I
go.
believe, 15,000 Jews.
Yeah.
And so there's a Jewish artichoke. Yes, there are different foods on there that are part of the Jewish Roman tradition. And that's part of the fascination too. Italy has many subsets of dining. It's not just tomatoes everywhere.
And Mr. Plotkin, you are absolutely right. This is my favorite restaurant in the ghetto. It's off of the main drag. It's almost a no-name kind of hole in the wall that has casalinga. Is that a word like home cooking?
Yeah, casalinga means homemade or housewife.
Yeah. And one thing you probably don't know is this young lady on the far left is my daughter, Jackie.
She's
And
beautiful. I was going to say, what a nice Jewish Italian girl.
yes, she's about as Jewish as Eric the Red, I think. But but somebody who's very Jewish is Michaela on the far right. That's my
Okay.
guide, and her family goes back before the diaspora because that was the oldest Jewish community in Europe. There was a Jewish community before the diaspora and 70 years after Christ in Rome, and what a
Yes.
rich tradition for us to enjoy. Now, when we look at this man, this is just a reminder to me that my favorite restaurants are personality driven. Do you know what I mean? It's great to have a small restaurant where the owner is right there and he's engaged.
He looks proud to serve food that he's proud to represent.
Yeah, he really is. In fact, that's to me the joy of writing my guidebooks is to connect our travelers with small independent mom and pops or family run restaurants or just people that have a mission. And what I'd like to do here, Fred, is I haven't showed you this before, but I've pulled just a little 2-minute clip out of one of my TV shows. And this is a restaurant I really like. We're going to watch it and then we'll talk about what you see. So I got to just set this up a bit. I'll probably set it up again, but we're watching me watch Fred watch this great little dinner. But this is the most quintessential Italian dining experience I've ever had. It's with a local guide and friend of mine from Verona. His name is Franklin. And it's just a beautiful example of how Italians, not sophisticates, not sommeliers, not wealthy people, just everybody loves to talk about food when they're eating their food. It's a beautiful part of the food culture. So here we are, Can Grande with Franklin. Because I just love this experience. Okay.
Okay.
Right now, my love story is all about food, and I'm joining local friends for dinner at Enoteca Can Grande. This is a classic little mom and pop restaurant, with Giuliano helping diners match fine Italian wines with just the right local dishes, while stylish Karina is in the tiny kitchen making sure every dish is just right. My favorite way to eat in Italy is to trust the chef and just say, bring it on. Giuliano is serving us an array of plates. Each celebrates fine ingredients of this region. And Giuliano, along with Franklin and Marina, are helping us appreciate what we're eating and drinking. This is such beautiful food and it's such beautiful wine.
Yeah.
Can you imagine having the beautiful food with no beautiful wine?
Not really. It would be like being at La Fenice, the opera, first row, and being in bad company, someone who doesn't appreciate opera music and would prefer rock music, let's say. It wouldn't be the right thing.
Next up, eggplant parmigiana and burrata from Puglia. Do you talk about the food as you eat it? Is this part of
Yes, absolutely, constantly. Any age, without getting bored. We might get drunk, but not bored. Italians love to talk about food. Well, it's in their DNA. What we have here.
As the cannelloni with fontina and duck ravioli with amarone arrive, we learn that even in a fine restaurant like this, diners have a higher standard than you'd expect. La Mama.
Italian men who adore cooking will always refer to La Mama, their mother. That's the answer to everything.
So it goes back to your childhood.
Absolutely, yes. Sure. To go to a restaurant is wonderful, but how La Mama cooked, nobody can equal that.
And finally, beef cheeks stewed in amarone with polenta, just as La Mama made it.
Rick, salute. Cheers.
Mr. Mama.
La Mama, okay.
Wow. I gotta say, that's the joy of my work, and I love my work. I just gotta say this. I'm so thankful for the guides I have in Europe that show me their favorite places. And I'm going to Europe for 40 days this spring, and I'm working on my schedule. And when you look at my schedule, this is Florence, this is Tuscany, this is the Greek islands, this is Germany and Switzerland. Every day, 10 o'clock and 6 o'clock, 10 o'clock and 6 o'clock. And the process now is to fill those 10 o'clocks and 6 o'clocks in with local guides. Regular historical sightseeing guide at 10 o'clock and a food guide in the evening. I think I've had 4 dinners there with Franklin, and he's my food guide when I'm in Verona. And to be able to be with him and visit all the places in my book and find new places, that's what helps make the Rick Steves guidebooks really helpful. I work very hard on the restaurants, and my advantage is I'm not a foodie sophisticate. I'm like a lot of tourists. I don't know the cuisine. I just want to appreciate it, and I'm curious. And with my wonderful guides, I can do that. So I really hope that you can take advantage of that as you put your travel dreams together. Okay, let's go back with Fred Plotkin for just a couple more minutes.
So, Rick, there were many telling things in that video. Number one, I knew from the outside it was Verona because it was a Veneto name, but the brick was Verona.
Yeah,
then
right.
You went in the restaurant. The first wine was Veronese, but the second wine was Tuscan. I want to point out that we often think of Italian food as being massive portions. Right. What they do is they eat small amounts of different things, and inevitably on your own plate. The Italian restaurants in general are very hygienic. So therefore, you always saw food being served away from the person who would be, quote, breathing on it, using careful implements so that everybody ate carefully, safely, and they did not combine the flavors. You don't mush it together. That 2 minutes had so much that is, to me, classically Italian.
It just felt, and Fred, I think you have this experience in a pretty routine way. I have to search for it because I don't have the breadth of expertise on the high cuisine of Italy. But I love a restaurant like that where you can trust the chef, and consequently you'll get things you wouldn't know to order that the chef is excited about. Do you find, is that a realistic thing for a traveler to do, to find a little restaurant and trust the chef?
In general, because number one, they're proud of what they do. Number two, they want you to come back and they want you to recommend them to other people. Yeah. But there are places that are overtly touristy where they might rip you off, and that's not unique to Italy. but
Right.
sometimes people go in. Let me say this right away. American men like to go in and order the most expensive wine on the list and show off. Don't do that,
Hmm.
because then all you're doing is showing off your money, but not your taste.
Oh my goodness. And that's the beginning of the end for your
Right. And there are restaurants, especially in Florence and a little bit Torino and Rome, where Americans walk in and order the €1,000 bottle of wine because they can.
right.
And then the restaurant already knows, okay, we got a sitting duck here.
You know, one thing that was special for me about that meal was my friend Franklin, who's a guide in Verona, and he just loved to talk. And it was the conversation and the whole thing was a beautiful package. In fact, I got two newspaper articles out of that one meal just by all of the conversation we had. It was wonderful. Hey,
Well, I
Fred.
only talk between courses
Oh,
because
okay.
I believe, and I mean this very seriously, that the chef has done a lot of work. She created something beautiful. Don't let it get cold. Don't stare at it.
Oh.
Honor the chef by eating what she prepared and then talk.
Good. I'm known among my friends as a heat snob, and that's a good thing to be in Italy, I guess. Hey, like in fact, I always tell my groups, don't wait until everybody's got their plate.
Yes.
When the plate lands there, respect the
Eat.
chef, the hard work, eat, mangia. Hey, I want to remind people, I'm not normally like buy this book, but if you're going to Italy and if you like food, buy this book. I mean, I'm so thankful to been able to collaborate with Fred. He wrote a guide earlier called the Italy for the Gourmet Traveler, and we merged our passion for travel and Italian culture into a package that is just right for the combination of your and my loves. And the first half is the general approach to Italian eating, and then the middle of the book is all 20 regions featured in a brilliant way. I've had a reason, Fred, to dig into a few of these regional chapters, and they're wonderful. And in the back, we've got an amazing glossary, and we've got our favorite places, our favorite gelaterias, and much more, our favorite
Right.
restaurants.
Rick, let me say something very quickly. I think it's important. This is not a restaurant guide.
Yeah.
This is to give the traveler tools to be able to go anywhere in Italy, walk into any eatery, and understand what's going on. That's why we divided it by regions. We
Yeah.
have this huge glossary of terms so that you could look it up alphabetically and find out what something is,
Yeah.
and then say, oh, okay, so I'm in Umbria. That's why we have this particular green here.
Yeah, and that's why we have like here's your primer for all the different kinds of pasta,
Mhm.
and here's I love this chart here for all of the ways to serve coffee in a way that you can sort out,
Yep.
and you could put this on your wall and just dream about it. And Fred, you worked with my cartography department, and we put together this map. And I just think it on its own is worth having, and that is attached to the back of this book. So I would just say if you need that book, you know where to get it. We've got it on our website. You can buy it wherever you like to get your books. And now we're going to carry on here.
But Rick, I put that map on my ceiling, not on my wall.
On your C, oh, that's very nice. Fred, I put this slide in here because you
Okay.
taught me a word, and I think I've almost forgot it.
Abbinamento.
Abbinamento. Tell us about that.
Abbinamento means how things pair properly, and that could be different foods or food and wine. A couple who are romantically involved, how they merge and how they become better when paired than they are on their own. And it's typical that you have cantaloupe melone, but this
Mhm.
is honeydew melon. There's
Mhm.
certain juicy fruits that go beautifully with prosciutto. Prosciutto is pork leg that
Oh,
is air
oh,
dried for 14 months,
yeah.
prosciugare to dry out at length. And the sweetness and the slight saltiness and the silky texture of the prosciutto with the fleshy melon or fig,
Yeah.
it's sexy.
It is sexy. And or it must be terribly disappointing because you could get conceivably just a really bad one with bad prosciutto and bad melon.
Not
But
in Italy, they would not serve it to you. And if they do, you say, I'm sorry, this melon is hard and has no flavor. The Italians take too much pride.
that's
They
great.
really would not want to dump something on you because they feel that they have to uphold their tradition and
Yeah.
reputation.
I just love that. And you wouldn't think about some of the pairings you get and have an event. And there's another thing I put this slide in because a lot of Americans, we judge something by what we were raised with. And if you say you want a bologna sandwich, a lot of people would
This
say,
is
well, do you
no
have any
bologna. This is mortadella, which
mortadella?
is mortadella brought to the gods is bologna brought to the gods. It is a combination of pork and pistachio and a little bit of garlic, and it's made in Bologna. And so bologna, that's where the name comes from. But it can be served in paper-thin slices or in chunks, and it tastes differently if you eat it in chunks than if you eat it in thin slices.
So don't miss the great mortadello. Mortadello, yeah. Hey, we got lots of food coming up. We're going to go on a food tour in Porto in Portugal. We're going to go on a great food tour that I just did a couple months ago in London in the East End. We're going to team up with Natalie, a Parisian, and go shopping for dinner down my favorite street, Rue Claire. And we're going to meet with a man who is evangelical about his Flemish fries. Flemish fries in Belgium, French fries. Right now, we're going to go to the rural farmhouse in Tuscany and remind ourselves how throughout Europe, the richness of the culture is so easy to find in the rural areas, in the farms, and in the small towns.
In Tuscany, it's still possible to find your own sleepy, fortified village. While tourists pack the more famous places, little offbeat gems like this remain overlooked and are great places for enjoying the traditional culture.
Hamlets like these originated as communities of farmers who banded together on easily defensible hilltops overlooking their farmland. With today's tourism and relative affluence, it's easy to forget the fact that until the last generation, this region was quite poor. Today, while the poverty's gone, the traditions survive. Many rural families still preserve their own meats and enjoy firing up their wood-burning ovens on special occasions. And here in rural Tuscany, you feel an enthusiasm for tradition. Gazing at these content sheep, you can almost taste the pecorino cheese, which seems to be a part of every meal. At this farm, walls are stacked with rounds of pecorino, made from the unpasteurized and therefore tastier milk of the farm's sheep. Making cheese this way is labor-intensive and takes lots of patience. But for these folks, it's well worth the trouble. To be sure we get the most out of our visit, we're joined by my friend and fellow tour guide, Roberto Becchi. We're visiting the noble farm of the Zanda family, where Nicola raises a couple hundred pigs. These pigs are a rare breed brought back from the edge of extinction by people who care about traditional agriculture. People who really love their ham.
So it's Italian justice. We feed them, they feed us. Yeah.
Now, like the pigs all eventually do, we move on to the prosciutto part of the farm. Nicola artfully cures every part of the pig. The hind legs are destined to become fine prosciutto. He brushes on a coat of garlic and vinegar with a sprig of rosemary, sprinkles it with pepper, and finally cakes it in salt. Top-grade prosciutto is cured by hanging in a cool room for about a year. During the slow curing process, Nicola checks the progress, employing a wooden needle and an expert nose. And like any proud farmer, he invites us into his home. Not your everyday farmhouse, for a memorable taste.
From the farm to the table, with only a little bit of travel. 200 meters.
200 meters, but a lot of work.
A lot of work. How many months?
About 15 months.
And then the ham is waiting?
The ham is waiting about 12 months.
Oh, so more than 2 years. Yeah. Nicola, 3 different meats. Can you give me a little tour?
This is ham, prosciutto. We have soppressata. It's done with the heads of the pigs. Mm-hmm. And we have the salami here.
You like this?
Oh, I love it.
This is from the head of the beautiful pigs I was just feeding. Is it good? You eat it, Nicola?
Fantastic.
Yeah?
Try it. Try it. Best part.
Yeah, it's like prosciutto for beginners, and this is for the expert.
For the expert.
The connoisseur.
Perfect.
With some good wine.
Always with good wine.
Nearby is the Vecchio Molino, or Old Mill. While this swan thinks this pool's made for him, it's actually a reservoir used to power the mill. This mill, with its ancient grindstones, has been producing flour for generations. Until the 1960s, neighboring farmers brought their grain here. While locals know stone ground corn makes the tastiest polenta,
Corn mill.
Polenta.
mills like these are a tough fit in our fast-paced world. In Portugal, the city...
So now we're going to do 2 food tours in a row. And I want to remind you, I'm surprised I'm so evangelical about food tours, but it's something we splice into all of our tours when we take groups around Europe. We hire a local company to take us around, and they're really designed for individuals. It costs about $90 or $100. It takes about 4 hours, so it's a fair investment of time and money. But if you choose the right food tour, you get to know a local food expert, a charming and inspiring local guide. You get to hang out with 6 or 8 fun tourists. You visit 7 or 8 local artisans, entrepreneurs who are passionate about what they sell, and you have a mobile meal. So it's like $50 for the meal and $50 for the education and entertainment, and you got yourself a food tour. Here we are 2 hours north of Lisbon in Porto.
Porto's traditional market manages to survive in spite of competition from modern shopping malls. This is a great place to wander, especially in the morning, to take in the sights, sounds, and smells of real-world Porto. And for the best understanding of the local food scene, we're taking a food tour.
Welcome to Taste Porto Food Tour's Vintage Food Tour. My name is Andre. I'm going to be your tour guide today, trying to show you the best of Porto's gastronomy, sprinkling it with a bit of history, architecture, and culture.
Food tours are popular throughout Europe for travelers who want to learn about the culture through its cuisine. With Andre as our guide, we'll enjoy a series of tasty stops. First up, the seafood section and Portugal's most famous fish, the sardine.
Okay, so the main difference in between a tiny and a fully grown one. As you can see, tiny one you can eat from head to tail after you fry it, which I love. Skin to bone, don't waste anything there, okay? And this is the mama. Fat content is crucial. If you want a good sardine, it has to be like this, because the fat content will keep all of the flavors in when you grill them. But look at those eyes, shiny and bright. They're gonna be delicious.
Next, we head to a shop with every type of seafood imaginable, but served only in tin cans, all artfully displayed.
This shop over here is owned by the Portuguese Association of the Can Industry. So here you'll find over 19 brands with over 300 different products, from sardines to codfish, sea bass, sea bream, tuna fish, eels, lamprey, octopus, squid, mussels. It's fish, it's in a can, they got it. And today, you're gonna sample here 2 of my favorite ones. First of all, this one over here. This, in Portuguese, we call it pica. It's actually a tiny needlefish. So it's less fatty than a sardine. It has been canned with olive oil and chili peppers. And to go along with it, mackerel in tomato sauce. And to hydrate yourselves also, a glass of vinho verde, at last, wine. So, once again, as I taught you a while ago, a nossa.
Who knew? Vino Verde is the perfect match for picas with chili peppers and mackerel.
I like that. But I like this.
Next, we walk a few blocks to one of the oldest shops in the market area.
Welcome to Mercearia do Bolhão. This shop opened in 1896, back then working as a grocery store, cafe, and bakery. The wealthiest families of Porto came over here for a cup of coffee or a cup of tea before heading to the market. But if you look around, you'll see wine, spices, coffee beans, cheese, ham, codfish, fruit, vegetables, and even bread that is delivered here daily. And for you today, this is foulard. Foulard is a wheat and olive oil bread with bacon and sausage baked in. It's fluffy, savory, and sweet, a fantastic combination. And a light bread that actually was delivered here this morning.
So light, I think I'll have one more piece.
Actually, this is one of my favorite neighborhoods.
Nearby, in the medieval part of town, we try some Porto pub grub.
So, welcome to Tasca. This is a farm-to-table tavern in which you'll find here products just like smoked ham. These smoked ham legs, aged for 24 months, made out of a special breed of pork called Bizaru, which only exists in the north of the country. and you can have it already pre-sliced over here for you as well. But you can find a lot more stuff in taverns like this. For instance, the octopus salad with a lot of olive oil, green and red bell peppers, delicious, fresh. And here, one of my favorites, stewed chicken gizzards in tomato sauce and chili pepper, so they're really hot, as I say. And to go along with all of this, you're gonna drink sparkling rosé vinho verde, so light and bubbly to help it go down and to keep your palates wide awake. So bon appetit, enjoy.
An interesting variety of simple foods, well prepared and with refreshing local wine. And that's what food tours are all about.
Food tours. They're happening all over Europe. It's a great way to get to know the culture, have a lot of fun, get some exercise, and have a meal at the same time.
And this next food tour is in London, the East End. And the East End is a happening area. It's the major change in my London guidebook over the years is to incorporate that because it's a place you got to check out while you're in London. And this food tour is a good example how a food tour gives you more than food. It gives you an insight into the local culture, the local street art, and you get to know a very entertaining local guide. So here's Max with Eating Europe, and we're in the East End of London. Bon appetit.
We're joining a food tour for a tasty education.
And this is taken from my brand new London show that just released about a month ago. And it'll release in an hour-long version later on this year. But we've got a great hour coming up on London. And a reminder, you can see this and the next bit on Paris that you'll see excerpted from our brand new shows on London, Paris, part of our season 13 on public television.
Hey guys, I'm Max with Eating Europe. We're going to go on a food tour today in Spitalfields Market and the East End. This is where culture, immigration and food all meet. Spitalfields Market was a fruit and vegetable market for over 300 years. Today, Spitalfields Market is just filled with these incredible food stops. Doesn't matter what it is, as long as it's good, it will find itself here.
First up, a cheese plate appetizer.
All right, we have got a lovely creamy blue cheese. Then we've got a really light French cheese here, Comté. This is a Swiss Alpine cheese, nutty, creamy, delicious. Help yourselves, guys. We love cheese over here. we love it. Okay. Curry.
By the way, the woman on the far left is Natalie Compton, and she is a travel journalist from the Washington Post. In fact, she was awarded the Travel Journalist of the Year just this last year. And Natalie she's done several articles about me in the Washington Post. And she asked if she could shadow me this day as we were making our TV show. And I said, sure, we're not going to be very polite. We're just going to be going. And she was right there, enjoyed being part of this little bit. And she did a wonderful article about how we make our TV show in London. If you're curious about that, remember tomorrow in your email, you'll have a link to Natalie Compton's article in the Washington Post about how we work on the road with our TV crew. But she's a delightful travel writer.
Sauce, big in this country. We've got 3 here. Butter chicken, black lentil dal maharani, railway lamb. That will be the spiciest, but it's all pretty English spicy. Curry in the last 20, 30 years has become the UK's national dish. There are 5,000 more curry houses in this country than there are fish and chip stands. The East End is by far and away the best place to have a curry in London. This street alone has more than 30 curry houses on it. It's the spiritual home of the Bangladeshi community. You will notice, though, every curry house on Brick Lane says it's the best on Brick Lane. The East End has centuries of layers of cultural history. The French were here, then the Jewish were here, then the Bangladeshi community, and now the hipsters are here. If you want to come and see street art in London, you come to the East End. This is not just graffiti, this is art. This is a way of people, the voiceless, expressing their voice with their spray cans. And every one of these pictures tells a unique story. If you come back here this time next year, all of this will have changed. All of it will be different. New stories for new people in a neighborhood that is ever changing. Everywhere you go around the East End, every street you turn, there is always something new and something beautiful. It's time for an East End classic, fish and chips. And here are our fish and chips. Fish and chips was made, invented in the East End in the 1850s. It is still an absolute icon of this area. So we have curry sauce here, quintessentially British. You can slather it on, you can dip. Same with the mushy peas. It's like a thick split pea soup, goes perfectly with chips. Tartar sauce there. You've got your pickle or gherkin or wally. If you're from the East End, it's a wally. Salt and vinegar is crucial. It's mandatory. Vinegar first, then the salt, so the salt sticks. Oh, yeah.
Health food. And just when it feels like you couldn't eat another bite, we head back to Spitalfields Market for one final British delight.
Crumble is the quintessential British dessert. Stewed apple in sugar, maple syrup, cinnamon. On top of that, you've got your shortbread layer, kind of crumbled shortbread. On top of that, you have your warm vanilla custard. On top of that, you have our non-traditional crumble ingredient. Pink piped marshmallow, which is then lightly blowtorched and then sprinkled with some rose petals. Perhaps the most hipster crumble you will ever see, possibly in your lifetime. The trick is, dig right the way to the bottom, get every single layer on that spoon. Not so humble anymore.
Paris can be overwhelming. To feel
So we'll go from London to Paris. Man, that humble crumble was good. Now, if you know my books and if you know my tours, if you know my TV shows, you know I love Rue Claire in Paris, and it's as good as ever. And I've just really wanted to illustrate how we have a neighborhood in Paris, how people live upstairs, you know, and this is their morning exercise. They go shopping. And I found the perfect friend to lead us on a shopping excursion, a woman named Natalie. And she's just a delight here. And we get this wonderful, intimate snatch of Parisian love of food and lifestyles. Enjoy this. And you can go there too.
more settled, I like to choose a neighborhood and make it home. And it seems like each neighborhood has a market street that gives it a small town charm.
For those learning the fine art of living Parisian style, market streets can be ideal. My local friend, Natalie, is shopping for a dinner party on Rue Claire, and I'm tagging along.
So in France, I like the way it's all about seasonal, and that means good flavor. It's almost like a religion. You have to have the best flavor.
Yeah, you have to have the best flavor, the best colors, and for example, like tomatoes. You don't eat tomatoes during the winter because they are tasteless.
If it's in season, it's local.
Oh yeah, most of them come from the Ile-de-France, you know, it's around Paris, and especially, look at this.
These are
look
beautiful.
At this, look at these tomatoes. You can have this one, this color, little ones like this, you know. This one, for example, you see.
I can see that now. So it's we know it's gonna be flavorful, but also you're thinking how it looks.
Yeah.
So you're raising the bar. It's seasonal and it's pretty.
Yup.
Okay, it's time for the meat course. There's a lot of options.
Yeah. But as it's summer, we don't want to eat too much meat, so lamb chops are perfect. Bonjour monsieur, bonjour. Je voudrais des petites côtes d'agneau là. Je les cuis pendant combien de temps? Okay, 2-3 minutes.
So what did he tell you?
I asked him how long should I cook them. He said if you like them rosé, it means not too cooked, you know, 2-3 minutes on each side. That's it.
So I love this. You know this man. You trust his advice.
Oh yeah, because they know. Ça sera tout aujourd'hui, merci. Oui.
Yes, the cheese shop. This is just a festival of molds.
Smell how good that is. In a French meal, you really have to have cheese. Oh, we'll take this camembert à la truffe, un morceau. That's beautiful. It's truffle camembert. Oh, it's a new thing. Before they started with the brie, but now they do the camembert. It's so good. It's so good. Hard cheese now, you see. Morceau de comté, vous avez du... Moi, I like 24 months old comté because it's flavory.
It's okay, so older is more flavor.
The older is better. Oh, oui, c'est bien.
It's flavory. It's a new word we learn in France. Flavory.
The street is lined with shops to cover each item on Natalie's menu. Up next, wine.
Bonjour Chloé.
So we know our meat, we know our cheese.
Yeah.
Now we select the correct wine.
Absolutely. You can't have like any wine with your food. You have to pick up the right one because it is combination of wine and food that people enjoy in France.
For the lamb chops, we select a light red wine and something more robust for the cheese course.
Ça, c'est la région de Bordeaux.
Fine bottles of wine. I was just looking, they're between 10 and 15 euros, so $12 and $18 for a bottle of really good wine right there in Paris, if you're picnicking.
Et c'est un médoc, like that.
This is so beautiful with the cheese and now with the wine neighboring on the same street with beautiful people who are experts to help us out.
Absolument.
Life is good.
Okay. Oh, life is good.
And no French dinner would be complete without a fresh baked baguette
Okay, oui, merci.
and a bouquet of flowers for the table.
This one would be perfect.
This here?
Yeah, this,
Okay.
like little sunflower.
That's nice.
And this one. I like this one, the pinky one. Look how
Oh, look at
pretty. Yeah, they will. Yeah, me too.
Okay.
Thank you, Greg. It was fun.
Bon appetit.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci, Natalie. Au
Bye, bye.
No, I'm charmed by European lifestyles. It's very poignant right now when our country is kind of at war with all of these liberal lifestyles. But to go to Europe and to see that feeling of community, that willingness of everybody to chip in, the ability of Europeans to just celebrate life and multi-generational and pay their taxes, frankly, and make sure that people have the dignity of healthcare, of childcare, of a steady retirement. It's inspirational. I wish everybody had a chance to walk the streets of Paris with Natalie and check out their fine living. Joie de vie, the joy of life. Now we're going to finish with just a little 2-minute clip in Belgium with a man who has clearly found his niche. That's one thing I love about Europeans. They find their niche. Mario has been running my favorite little restaurant in Bruges for 20 years or something like that. And he's been in my book for that long. Every time I drop in and visit with him, he's just as enthusiastic, especially about his Flemish fries. Get ready.
Working up an appetite, you'll be tempted by the smell of French fries. Called Flemish fries here, they're a local specialty.
By the way, you see on the menu, the whole middle section is sauces on the left there. So it's not just ketchup. Ketchup is for the oddballs. It's all sorts of different gourmet sauces for your gourmet fries.
And in Belgium, fries are an art form, taken very seriously. Who made the first fry?
Belgium. This potato was peeled this morning, cut in pieces, and put in that fat.
So you actually cook it in the grease 2 times?
2 times. Once in that, then it rests here. Afterwards, second time, high temperature. Low temperature, resting, cooling, high temperature.
These are forming a skin right now.
Yes. You see, these fries are swimming like fishes in the fat. See it? They are, you hear it? They are talking. You hear
I hear it,
sound?
yes. What are they saying?
Oh, that they are ready to be eaten.
Oh.
What do you need more? Taste one, please.
Is it
At
hot?
the top of the fingers, because it's hot, yes. Only a little bit salt on it and it's super.
A big part of your travels.
All right. Well, a big part of your travels is indeed the cuisine. And I've spent 40 years learning about the cuisine and gaining an appreciation of it. And it's delightful to be able to share this with you. I hope you'd enjoyed this little peek at the importance of eating well in Europe. Hey, Ben, I think we're ready for some questions.
Thank you, Rick. How does it feel to know that you've brought thousands of people sweet dreams literally tonight?
Oh, I love it. I'm lucky. We all both are working in a little niche that we get to see the delights that people experience, and experience is our middle name these days. It's very nice to share that and equip and inspire people to get out there and enjoy some different lifestyles and some different ways to wring the most flavor out of our beautiful lives.
So true, Rick. Before I ask you a few questions, what is the word from our sponsor this evening?
The word from our sponsor. Well, there's a lot of things I could thank. And I think I'd like to thank all the people who make all the food in Europe when we go to travel on our vacations that we can enjoy. The people that grow it, the people that cook it, the people that serve it, and all of the tourists that travel in a thoughtful way that helps it stay in business. It's one of the beautiful things about life, eating together, breaking bread. And when we make a TV show, when we write a guidebook, when we take our tours, that's a big part of the equation. All right, questions.
Okay, Rick, please remind us, what wine are you drinking from Puglia? We had several people who just want clarification on that.
This is Campi Rudi, R-U-D-I, from Puglia. And it's really fun to, you can look at that there, and I don't speak those words, but I got to tell you, I looked it up. I did the whole Google, Chat GPT thing, and learned a lot about this wine. And I understand why I like it because it explained it to me, and it also explained what it goes well with and how it should be served. And it's fun to get into wine a little bit.
We're going to play a little game next called This or That. Okay, Rick? Pastel de nata or creme brulee?
Oh, pastel de nata. Although I love the sound of that spoon breaking through the crust of the creme brulee. But pastel de nata.
Yeah, I agree.
It's just pastel de nata. What's the pastel de Belém? I think it's called in out where it's born, out by Belém, outside of the center of Lisbon. You got to have that. You'll have it all over the place. But there is a case where if you get an old one that's been sitting in the shelf in the restaurant for 6 hours, it's pretty lackluster. But when you get it really warm, still warm out of the oven, it's the best.
Ah, it's amazing. German Riesling or Tuscan Chianti?
Riesling is white, Chianti is red. Chianti used to be a cheap table wine, but now they've refined it, and it's become quite a nice wine. I'm a sucker for red wine generally. I also am a sucker for the ambiance created by the place where you're drinking it. And I love to be in Tuscany and have a nice glass of red wine, and I love to be on the Rhine and have a nice glass of white Riesling. But if I had to choose between one or the other, I'd say Chianti.
You're adding a lot of nuance here, Rick.
Yeah.
One more, prosciutto or jamon iberico?
Prosciutto or jamon iberico. Italians, that's the Italian word for ham. Italians would love the fine prosciutto, but Italy gets all the attention and the love for all the quintessential foodie kind of stuff. And the thing in Spain that just really glitters and twinkles for me is the jamon. And it's a classic example of what my friend in an England B&B told me when I tried to whittle down her price in her bed and breakfast for my readers. She told me, Rick, pay peanuts, get monkeys. In other words, if she sold something that was cheaper, it couldn't be that good. Mm-hmm. So I like that. And I really learned from her. I learned from a lot of Europeans. And I've learned across the board in Europe, as a teacher, as a tour guide, as a writer, as a bon vivant, as a person with a little extra money, try the top end stuff. When I had my group, when I led our Alps tour, every couple nights we'd have a happy hour, and I would go get a schnapps or a grappa or something, a firewater of that mountainous region. I'd talk to the guy in the little shop, and I'd find out what's the differences. So I'd have a little potted lecture I could give about the drink I was going to serve the group. And I always bought, not going over the top, but nearly the most expensive grappa or the most expensive schnapps. And I'm not even into that kind of firewater stuff that much. But there's clearly a difference. And if you're going to give 25 people on a tour a little shot of a local glass of firewater in the place where it's been for centuries, you could get a cheap bottle for $15 and the best bottle for $30. and you could spend 75 cents per person or $2 per person. What are you going to do? You know, you're going to give that, you're going to go top end. And I just love it. Shelley and I were just hiking in the Dolomites a couple months ago. And when we got into our mountain lodge, we would sit in the lobby with our friends and marvel at what a beautiful day we had. And we'd drink a glass of expensive grappa. So what was I getting at? You were asking me.
Oh, I think that
the jamón.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the equivalent of that in Spain is the jamón ibérico. You put that on your tongue, and this is a family show, Monday Night Travel, right? So I can't explain to you how delightful it is. It's just over. It's out of this world. Out of this world. Jamón ibérico.
Everyone's going to remember it now, Rick.
Yes.
Several travelers have asked about managing allergies. Do you have any tips for that when traveling?
No, I'm not a good person to ask because number one, I don't have any allergies. And number two, I'm a tour guide who's very tired of people with all sorts of fancy problems with their diet. I know people have legitimate problems, but you know my thing. We're going to be entertaining 120 guides flying into Edmonds here in a couple of weeks. And a big, big challenge for us is how do we feed our groups when everybody's got all sorts of dietary concerns? If they're medical and necessary, we respect that and we'll handle it. But if it's just a lifestyle choice and you read something and you're going to complicate your tour guide's life and your chef's life in Europe by having all of these limits. So, I say if it's a lifestyle choice, put it on the shelf during your vacation and just dive into there with abandon. If it's a health concern, well, then it's legit in my mind. And you need to have a little 3x5 card written very clearly by a local person in the local language. Don't assume people's English works, of what your dietary concerns are. I can have none of this unless you want a dead tourist laying on your floor of your restaurant, and then you'll be understood and you can then order around your dietary concerns.
Thank you, Rick. Lisa would like to know which country's food scene has changed the most over your years of travel.
Clearly, it has been the United Kingdom. And when I say that, I mean Britain, Scotland, and Ireland. People used to laugh when I would say fine dining in England, but now England is more affluent and England has acquired a taste for a more sophisticated cuisine. And the cool thing about England is a lot of it is fusion, especially with France. And some pubs just make their money serving beers. Other pubs really take their cuisine seriously. They're called gastropubs. And it's a beautiful meal. The Irish are great with their fusion cooking. So food in Britain and in Ireland is something you don't want to underestimate. And it merits a little bit of study, a little bit of planning. And I should remind people, we just saw 10 minutes of my travel skills lecture at the beginning. That show's called Experiencing Europe. It's got a whole hour of these kind of practical tips. And I didn't get a chance to cover everything I wanted to, but I love to look for good restaurants. I've learned a lot from Cameron Hewitt, one of our colleagues. And I really think it's a very good value to go to a Michelin-rated restaurant and order carefully. Not a pretentious Michelin star restaurant, but Michelin-rated, top quality, smart local clientele, not a bunch of noisy tourists, and an opportunity for you and your travel partner to enjoy quality food, at least for one meal while you're in Hungary, or you're in Greece, or you're in Iceland, or you're in Finland. Finland, you're into Finland. There's great food there too, but you got to know where to find it.
Speaking of finding good restaurants, Rick, there's so much online. We had a few travelers curious about how to vet what comes up on social media, what's in their feed about restaurants to try. Do you have any sense on how you might approach this?
You can dive into the crowdsourcing stuff, and you can take the wisdom of people who have only been there one time and they say this is the best in town. Or you can get a guidebook with somebody who's been going there for 20 years. And if you like his or her style, trust that judgment. It's your call. But you find a lot of people in Paris just wigging out over Tex-Mex this year. Everybody's going to Tex-Mex. Why is that? Number one on TripAdvisor. Why would you have 2 nights in your life for dinner in Paris and spend one of them eating Tex-Mex? Because it's in TripAdvisor. Makes no sense at all to me. I like to choose neighborhoods because the ambiance is part of the meal experience. And I like to choose a place in a low rent location, which is a small restaurant, family run, filled with a boisterous, enthusiastic local clientele. You feel the energy. And we talked about it a little bit with Fred. If you have a small one language handwritten menu and an enthusiastic local crowd, a chef that it's a mom and pop, one cooks and one serves. If you like the energy, if you like the feel, if the local people are there, it's a good restaurant. If you're looking for a different kind of food, we'll find a different kind of restaurant. But you can use your crowdsourcing stuff and your different web searches. But I really enjoy a good guidebook, and I enjoy my own instincts because things change all the time, and you can walk down the street and find a fine place. And just remember, if it's filled with locals, they're smarter than any guidebook writer. They know what a good deal is for their town, and I would just ride on their coattails.
Yeah. Excellent points, Rick. As a guidebook researcher myself, that combination of using the locals' advice, local guide, restaurants, and then trying it myself and then assessing, it adds up to great recommendations in the books.
And I appreciate the work that you and your colleagues do when we're updating our books. It's a big responsibility. When we do ask a local person, a friend at the hotel, where's the best place for lunch? You got to kind of distinguish, where do you think the best place for a tourist is for lunch, or where do you go for lunch? Because a lot of times they think that you want the cliches or the razzle dazzle. But if you just want a good quality meal, make a point of saying, where do you have your lunch? Where do you take your friends for lunch?
Okay, Rick, I will ask you one more question from Howard. What is the strangest thing you've ever eaten while traveling?
It's a funny question. I get asked it a lot. I have no hilarious, good, funny answer to that. I've eaten cow's head or goat's head in Bulgaria, and that was gross, but very tasty. I've eaten sunflowers right out of a big pod, a loving gift to me by my friend in Bulgaria before heading over to Turkey. I've eaten barnacles in Portugal and fallen in love with truffles. I think maybe different drinks. I love a drink that contributes to the magic moment. When we're traveling, we're looking for a magic moment. And alcohol is a beautiful little fairy that can land on your heart in the middle of a magic moment sometimes. And if the sun's going down and I'm on a Greek Isle, and it's just the stars are ready to come out and the ship is sailing off into the horizon, and I've had a great day, I do not want a Coca-Cola. I do not want some drink I have at home. I want what all these other people are drinking. And I'll have a nice cloudy glass of ouzo. As I like to say in my lectures, I've never worked all day long here in Seattle and come home and crave a nice cloudy glass of ouzo. I, to be honest, don't even like the taste of it in this hemisphere. But when I'm in Greece, I don't let a sunset go by without a nice cloudy glass of ouzo. Is that it? No more questions?
That's all for now, Rick.
Hey, Ben, what a great way to kick off our travel festival week. We want to thank all of you for joining us. It's been a delight to share with you my love of food in Europe. I hope you've enjoyed it. And right now, I just want to say happy travels. Ciao.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you, everyone, for traveling with us in this festival grand opening tomorrow. Join us again for Managing Crowds and Backdoor Destinations with Robin Stencil. Oh, and there will be a short survey in just a moment that will appear. Please answer it if you're willing. We'd love to hear your comments. See you all tomorrow.